Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with another layout using the October Hip Kit. And this is the fifth layout using this kit. It took me 51 minutes to complete and I just pulled a bunch of ephemera and some of the die cuts from the Maggie Holmes crepe paper line. And that's actually one of the background paper is from crepe paper Maggie Holmes open book. And I absolutely love this pattern paper, and it was a leftover from one of the last layouts that I had used. I had kind of brought it in to use it on the layout, but then I had enough leftovers from the first sheet. This is my second sheet of this pattern paper, and so I just brought it in case I wanted a bigger piece of pattern paper. Didn't end up using it because halfway through I'm like, no, I'm going to keep it as a background. I really love that pattern paper and I want to use it as a full background. So I have a couple of pictures of my daughter here, and she is just a silly girl. She just always has a way to make us laugh, and always, is quite witty, and always is joking, and just a fun person to be around. And so I just wanted, the die cut just said my heart is full, and when I think of her, I'm just so proud. She is a hard worker, and has 3 jobs, and then also if one of the coaches doesn't show up, which happens quite often apparently, for the other team that she doesn't coach, she'll stay and help coach that team too. So it ends up giving her a full day on Sunday instead of just half a day. But they can rely on her, and that's just, that's, like I said, my heart is full. I'm just so proud of her, and she's only 20. She's going to be 21. What's super responsible, and I love that about her. And as a parent, we can take some of that credit, but they, after a while, they make their own choices, and she chooses to be that way. So, and the same is if someone doesn't quite follow how you brought them up, it's not the parents' fault. As at one point they make the choices. So I'm just proud of her that she's making amazing choices and is responsible and trustworthy and dependable. So I just want to do a layout on that. And like I said, I used a bunch of ephemera, and a lot of the pink piece to the left and the pink piece to the right were actually cutouts from one of the Maggie Holmes sheets. And where I did order the extra pattern paper, I just cut up both sheets because both sheets were different on each side, and I want to be sure that way I could use both sides. And so anyway, the video cut out. So if I repeat myself, I'm not losing my mind. It's just that I don't know if I said this in the first part. So I just love that Maggie Holmes collection. Love it, love it, love it. And then I took a bunch of die cuts that were from the 10 packages of embellishments that I wanted to use this month, and I kind of put them together and then tried to put them with layouts that I thought I could use them up. And I'm going to be doing a video showing you what is left from those 10 packages, which is not that much, so yay. And I'm going to keep this going for the month of November. I'm going to pick another few packages, and I might show you. I think what I'll do is I'll show you the packages that the new ones that I'm going to choose for November, and just because it felt good to get some of these embellishments used up. So then I took my Stampin' block, and it's pretty big. I think it's like 6 by 5 maybe, or 7 by 5. It's quite a large one. I got it from Stampin' Up. I sprayed a couple of mist in pink and in orange because that's the color of the background pattern paper, and then I added a little bit of water with my mini mister, and I love the mini mister because it has a fine spray, so I love that. And then I just squished it on the layout, and I love the way it spreads it around with the block. And then I took my LE Studio stamp set with the My Favorite Things ink, and it's called Slate Gray, I believe. And then I'm going to add more texture to the background using my favorite little stamp, which is the arrowhead, the little marks, and then the X's, and also using the Laugh, Love, Smile, and the word Good Times. So just love those stamp sets, and I can see that I'm going to be using these stamp sets past when the October kit is, even once I'm done the October kit. I had stamped that little camera on one of my last layouts, and I kind of kept it, and I cut it out and used it on this layout. So it's awesome. I got to use another self-made embellishment, and I love that. And now I'm taking the Old Road Prima ink, and I'm inking all the edges of all the pattern papers. And I kind of already built my block, and I've been doing that the last few layouts. Usually I build my block right to the background right away, but because I don't know what I want to do to the layout, like the back of the layout, I kind of put everything together as a block, and then I move it out of the way, and then I go, okay, what am I going to do to the background this time? Because the October kit came with stencils and texture paste. I want to see every time if I want to, if I'm able to use some of that up. So that's why I don't put the cluster of photos, I guess, right down to the layout. Then there was another little cut apart there that said start here, and I just thought it was appropriate because them being a great person or a great adult, it needs to start somewhere, right? So, and that's sort of like what I was thinking. And then another one from Heidi Swap said, go ahead, be amazing. And then another the little die cut that was from the 10 packages I want to use up said, my girl, friends forever. And she's my buddy, we're really, really good friends, and it's nice to know that you're not just their mom, like that they like being around you. That's a lot of fun. Like, even though once they move out and stuff, if they still like being around you, that's pretty cool. So I took, to get back to the layout, I took the guava gelato, I squished it on my layout, added a little bit of water to kind of dilute it, and I could have added it directly to the paste, but I wanted it to be a tint of pink, and by adding it to the water, then you're kind of already diluting it, and then you don't have to add as much paste, you know what I mean? And then I'm getting that hint of pink. It's just a really soft pink, and I really love the color of the paste. So if you wanted, to color the paste more pronounced or deeper, I would add it directly to the texture paste, and then you could see how much you need to add, and then the paste would get more colored as you're adding it. So I'm going to take my heat tool and dry it up, and again, this heat tool just heats right up, so I have to be careful not to scorch my pattern paper. And I got an email today saying that my heat gun is now on the way, so yay, I can't wait. So I used more gelato, added more water, and now it's just to add some splatters to the layout. And I love doing that. I love adding splatters. And then I made some extra because the last few times I ended up putting my pattern paper in the gelato mixture by error, but I really love the way it looked. So now I did it on purpose and kind of added. Now I'm going to add some with my finger, and it, like, I wish you could see it in person. It's just so soft, and it just adds a really nice texture and I don't know, it's just so soft, the edges. And instead of adding, sometimes we'll put a border at the top and the bottom, that just adds a nice other texture of color to the side, or another layer of color to the side, and I really love that. So I'm just going to clean up so I can keep going, and then I'm going to dry the edges. And now I'm going to glue the whole thing to the background. And I'm going to add a little bit of quick dry adhesive under the stuff that, I could just glue on, let's say the bottom, because if I put glue on the top, it would have glued down to my table and stuff, while I had just the sort of the photo cluster together. And, at this point I'm looking and I'm thinking, the photo cluster is kind of getting lost on the background. So I'm going to take a marker and I'm going to outline all the pattern papers and around the photo. And I didn't outline around all the embellishments. I just did the pattern paper, and I found that was enough. Like it helped it stand out away from the pattern paper enough. And now I went into my stash and I got some pink and white twine, and I'm just gonna ball it up in 3 areas. And then I went and got my white twine, and I just added some white twine to that little tag there. And now I'm going to add some quick dry adhesive to glue down those twine bundles, I guess, to each little cluster. And I find when I do a layout that I use pattern paper as the background that is that busy, I try to keep, or that I make my own background, I try to keep the clusters really close to the photo, and then it just makes it so that your eye just stays focused on the photo cluster. As you can tell, like, I didn't put any embellishments at the top of the layout or the bottom on the sides. I just kept it around the photo. And then I went into my stash and grabbed some enamel dots. I used 2 different colors of pinks. And that's going to be it. I'm going to show you some close-ups of the layout and each embellishment clusters. And if you want to see more close-ups, you can join me on my blog, and the link is in the description, or you can join me on Facebook, and there's over 1,300 women there that share their pages and their videos and everything. So the link is also in the description. So thanks for watching. Bye.